This is the first time that we are in a tech spark. I hit this counter as well. It's already ticking. So, I'm going to try and make it as interactive as possible. We're called Mobileware Technologies Private Limited. The name actually brought us more mobility projects than what we actually do. They used to come and ask us for platform development. We don't do that anymore. What we've been doing for the past 7-8 years is that we're a digital payments infrastructure company. I just want to understand the lay of the land. How many of us are here from fintech or payments or banks? Okay, quite a few. All right. So, some of you might find it very basic because we weren't very sure of the kind of people we'd meet. Yesterday, when I came in, I felt old. The entire crowd is very young. I've never been to an AI conference. I've always spoken in on BFSI stages, GFF, fintechs, etc. Right. So this is new, learning for me, good for me. And I'm going to hope that this is interesting and can give you some inputs into what we do and what the Indian payment space is all about. I think you already know most of it, and I'll try and show you as well. Is that when we started off in 2015, 16 as a digital payments company, we tried to look at what's going on. UPI was just around the corner. National Payments Corporation of India started this whole digital payment infra as a platform. They started with IMPS, which is Instant Mobile Payment Systems. I didn't do too well because it was a little bit of cumbersome. It used to expect people to go to mobile banking, go in, do the transactions through there, and wasn't as easy to use. When you looked at UPI came in 2016, April of 2016, and we were one of the first companies to have a bunch of banks which already worked with us. So our customers are banks, are regulated entities. We run UPI or IMPS or any of the other payment mechanisms as a hosted platform. We run over 100 banks now. We're a 150-member team. We run from Mumbai. And the objective is to try and leverage that strength and how we could use AI, right? I mean, it's something which a lot of times has been, people have been talking about AI for a long time. What we wanted to do was really look at the problem definitions that we've seen and see how we could actually leverage our experience to then deliver value and not really go just AI specific, go from a problem definition perspective, right? So what's the problem definition? And in our problem definition, it's great for India. We've become the largest digital payments number of transactions. India is the largest number of users. We've just gone ahead of China. We've gone ahead of everybody, right? And this has happened in the quickest form, right? 8 years. Visa Master have been around from 1960s. We have NPCI 2008 or 7, and UPI only from 2016. So this is the fastest growth that anybody's ever seen, and the kind of numbers that are there. Pre-COVID, it was not as big. Post-COVID, it's obviously picked up, and companies like ours have actually progressed from being 20-member teams in 2020 to about 150 in 2025, right? So that's the kind of growth that we've seen. The number of transactions, 2.65 million transactions in a year. I don't know if people read about it, but 745 million transactions a day. That's the kind of scope that we've seen. Banking industry was not supposed to be doing such transactions. Banks were not built for that. They were doing depository, they were doing lending, they were doing traditional transaction banking. To being a complete software house, right? It was impossible for them to actually have this. And this is no offense meant to the banks, but it was just a complete shift from where they were to where they are today. This shift really brought forward the bottlenecks. You have a core banking system which talks like 100 transactions per second. You have other systems like ATM networks, etc., which are even lower. UPI expects it from an NPCI perspective, 500 transactions per second minimum. We are transacting at about 10,000 transactions a second right now. We process about 150 crore transactions a month, right? And we are a completely hosted platform every single day, 24/7. I think ma'am mentioned that 86,400 is number of seconds in a day, so it's 24/7. We've got to be making sure that we are doing this every single day, every single minute or second, right? The challenge is what we saw, and there are multiple, and I'm hoping that there are lots of, in the next 2 days, we also wish to meet up with a lot of AI-based platform companies, people who can help us leverage their technologies and embed in our product, right, wherever we are. Like I mentioned, about 100 banks, we could always leverage technologies that are there. We only focused on a couple. We focused on just getting into reconciliation and fraud. Again, it's just a question. How many of you guys have had to deal with fraud or near ones, dear ones, friends, family? Fraud and UPI. All? No? Only few? Okay, you guys are lucky. I mean, it's like a 1,500 crores that is going every month. So just to let you know that you must be the luckier ones to be careful. So what we thought of was, from fraud perspective, it's always been a case of having a traditional ML, looking at certain rule engines. It's always a postmortem. There's never been a case of saying that, let me predict the future. Let me figure out what's going to happen. The human intelligence, or the human way we think, how can we actually leverage that to ensure that frauds can be, I'm not sure if we can eradicate it, but reduce it to the next level, right? And that's where we found one space. So fraud was one. Reconciliation, I come from a telecom background. We used to do reconciliation from 2005 for telecom operators. So that gave us a great opportunity to understand. Reconciliation is fairly simple. It basically looks at multiple sources. You have a unique transaction. So when any one of you makes a transaction, you're paying either a merchant or you're paying your friends or family. The transaction is supposed to debit your account, credit somebody else's account. A lot of times between comes softwares, platforms, infrastructure, networks, and you drop those transactions. You need to make sure that either it's a success or a failure. So reconciliation, again, is a huge problem because it's money at stake. Everybody's money at stake. It's becoming larger and larger. Earlier, with hardware being expensive, it used to take 3 days, 4 days to reconcile a single day's data. Now we're doing it in 15 minutes, right? And that's the power of AI. Where we've come back, we've made it like online. We don't do this post-mortem. We don't do file or batch processing. We're doing it online, right? And that's where we've used it. I'm actually keeping the ingredients of what we've done a little later. I'm going to obviously involve the product head, Rohan, here, who can also talk about it. But these are the problems that we saw. Second is, the just localization from where we see it. All the rules that have been written over 20 years have always been like a civil report, right? You want to go for a credit card. It's so much about historical data. They will pick up data, and once they set that on course, it's very difficult. I mean, I never get a credit card, so it's as bad as that, right? So it's just that an entrepreneur never gets anything done ever. So if you are an entrepreneur, be sure you're not going to get the best credit cards. Your employees will get it, but you won't get it, right? So those rule engines I never understood, and it needs to change. It needs to become a little bit of a part of unique individuals, and that data being not from just one single source of truth, right? So that's where we've tried to come up, and we've done that as well. I'm going to just make sure that quickly Rohan can talk about one of the use cases. It's just the internals of it. Sorry.
Yep. Hi. So I think we're using AI like two major use cases, right? I think Satyajit mentioned about reconciliation. So I'll start with the question like, we all know UPI is a real-time payment method, but how many of you know when does actually money get settled between the banks? So if my bank account is paying your bank account, when do the banks actually settle the money? Any guesses? Yeah, exactly. T+1, right? So it's a constant challenge for the banking operations team to have certain files come in. So when you say, look at reconciliation, for example, you're trying to resolve the transaction between three sources. You have the payment switch, which is ourselves, who is actually processing the transaction. You have the bank's core banking system, which is actually maintaining the ledger of the transactions, the debits and the credits. And the third source is, say, NPCI or any other network, for example. If you're doing UPI, it is NPCI, right? And the problem statement is you have to match the status of a transaction across these three sources. Now, typically what we have seen is that if, say, UPI is doing say, 745 million transactions a day, it is practically not possible to do it manually, right? And that is how bank operations team have typically known how to do reconciliation. What we are doing with AI is we are enabling this to happen in continuum. So we are not saying that, hey, we'll wait for T+1, we'll wait for the files to come in, we'll wait for someone to upload it and then download it, and then by the time the day is done, you still don't know what has happened to the transaction, right? Where in our backend sort of reconciliation engine, the transactions, as and when they come in, they get posted to a common system, and then they get reconciled as and when the batch files come in from NPCI. And another thing that we've done is that we've actually done away with front ends, because what we've seen is that, as Satyajit mentioned, we run over 100 banks, right, for our UPI switch. Everyone has their own requests for how they want a specific format to be, how they want a report to be, how they want certain columns to be. We have recently experimented with something where we're integrating a large language model and not giving a standard report or a front-end portal to the bank operations team, but we've actually given them a chatbot. So they can ask questions like, okay, if there are these 100 transactions, what is the status in, say, as per NPCI, and what is the status as per the switch? Now, this would have been a task of an operations guy to go on the front end, put in some filter requests, and then wait for the data to load, which is now just like a natural language command away. So that is something interesting that we're doing on the reconciliation side. Second is on orchestration. So we are actually the only TSP or technology provider in India which is doing multi-bank orchestration. So our single switch has the ability for an enterprise to request for a payment or create a, say, UPI QR code or create a UPI intent link and route it intelligently across banks. So we've seen that, banks typically have their end of day processing where around, say, 12 a.m. to 1 a.m. they have certain downtimes, etc. Using AI, we can actually predict that. We know what metrics our partner banks are running, and we can intelligently predict that, okay, if you are a merchant, you want to generate a QR code, is it viable to go on bank A or bank B or bank C? So you reduce your payment declines, you reduce your chances of not having to serve the customer, and you improve your success rates, right? So that is another application of where we are using AI primarily in reconciliation, but increasingly in orchestration. So we have like a smart router which can figure out that, okay, if I'm a merchant, even like going beyond just uptime and downtime, even commercials, like who do I have the best commercials with? Does it make sense for me to hit this particular bank or the other one at this point for that particular customer segment? So I think these are a couple of interesting use cases that we're sort of picking up as of now.
I mean, it's tough to keep paying developers and they give man months, 6 months and stuff. And now in this solution, we've tried to cut that out. I think we want to grow as an intelligence company than that just have a number of people around, right? So yeah, sure. I think the same outcome of the same, right? Already what we've done for a couple of banks, and this has been in a POC and now gone live, we've been able to show them like a 2.5 revenue lift, 2.5% revenue lift. This was just based on the fact that I'm sure you all go through failed transactions, you all go through a journey which does not complete. There are timeouts, there are certain areas which we can actually look at. We made sure that the backend actually allows for like a pre-approved credit debit, you have virtual accounts, you can do so many things. The legacy problems that we spoke about, we're trying to solve those, right? We will make sure that there's a layer which takes care of this. There's an orchestration engine. We understand each transaction coming in, what it could be for. It's a lot predictive than reactive. Right now, the entire system used to be and continues to be reactive. We're trying to change that to a little bit of a proactive decision making where your transactions and ease of use can be even better. It's already in the last 5 years. If you go to 745 million transactions, it's friction free, but you can actually make it even better. You can make it simpler and just make sure that the revenues are there. I'm pretty sure you heard about Paytm as well. Yesterday launched with AI. We've had PayPal coming in. So everybody is on the path. And if you have interesting stories which can actually embed in any of these journeys from onboarding to settlement to reconciliation, I think that's a great opportunity in the payment space right now. I'm going to read through this risk efficiency and overall market, right? That it's a documented truth. People are aware of it. Just the challenges, right? AI makes a lot of sense. It makes so much sense in terms of all the benefits that you have. But I'm going to actually talk about the black box problem first. It's a highly regulated entity. It's everything that we do as ourselves, or we're taking care of somebody's money, we're transferring money, we're debiting, crediting. There's a trail there. It has to be a trail. Even though you have agents, you have bots, you have decision making, which is now automated completely for the speed of his accuracy, efficiency, all of those right words. At the end of the day, there is a regulator. There is Reserve Bank of India, which does audits on the banks and people like us. And the question is always about, if there is a challenge, if there's a fraud, show us the trail. Show us how the decision making was done. What was the reason why you took a call? And how did that actually impact the transaction? We've had this challenge. We've done something. We've been asked about it. And we could not explain or showcase the entire thing. So that's a problem to be solved for us. But these challenges are there for all of us, just the insurtech, the person before, right? It's journeys. It's journeys that you want to improve. You want to make sure that the customer has that 30% droppage doesn't happen. But how do you actually make sure that it's also targeted in terms of, there has to be a trail. There has to be something that you know of that transaction. So these are the things that we've been Fraudsters obviously have equal and more access. They've been intelligent enough. I'm sure you've seen Jamtara, you've seen all of it. And it kind of, they're always on the lookout for these transactions to be tracked or do something. UPI was built on the very basic unique identifier like a mobile number, right? And that's not been done anywhere in the world. So when you make it simple and when you make it friction-free, it's obviously bound to have some level of problems from the fraud side as well, right? That's time's up. Okay, so I think there was one more quick one that I'll ask Rohan to take up. Maybe we'll do a couple of minutes only. We've finished with time, but yeah.
Yeah, I think this is the question, right? Like, what is the future of AI? So, I mean, everyone here uses ChatGPT, right? But has anyone ever bought anything from ChatGPT? Like, did you actually complete a payment? I don't think so. So, NPC actually launched this product where you can enable a payment right within the interface of ChatGPT. So you don't even have to, go on the website of say a Big Basket or any other merchant. And I think that is the future of AI in payments, where we see that it will not be actual humans who will be making payments, but bots and AI agents will be making payments on your behalf. And then that opens up a lot of interesting questions on how do you actually do authentication. Like your AI agent is not going to enter your UPI pin, right? Or they are not going to do a face ID, right? So how are they actually going to authenticate a payment? How are the PSPs going to authorize a payment if the human is not involved? And I think there are two ways you can look at it, right? Like what can businesses expect and what can consumers expect? So for businesses, traditionally, the fact that you have a bot meant a bad thing. Like for them, every bot was a malicious bot. But that is not going to be true going forward. You would have like genuine AI agents who would be representing actual humans on the back end wanting to buy stuff on your website, right? And do you actually want to block those bots by just doing a blanket ban? Maybe probably not, right? So you would want to have an infrastructure layer which lets you accept payments even from bots who actually have a good intention of making a payment. So I think we are working on building a lot of that infrastructure to make that possible. We are working closely with the regulator also, empowering those use cases. And on the other side, I think from a consumer point of view, it's only convenience, right? Like you should be able to just type in a natural language command. Why do you have to go on a clunky website and then do a credit card? You have to enter your credit card and stuff like that. Why can't your agent do that for you? So I think in these two lenses, we broadly look at what the future of AI is. We've been speaking about, efficiency and what we're doing in reconciliation, orchestration with traditional ML, but I think this is truly the future where, you'll have agents making payments on your behalf and you'll have businesses who will be interested in accepting payments from agents and who will not just be blanket, banning bots. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you.